vegetable production mechanization aspect of it. Okay, so LCP Industries, we were actually formed in 2011, and it was myself, which was the co-founder, and my vision. Okay. My vision was to start a fully mechanized vegetable production company. I was 23 years old at the time, so it was very challenging because it was like, you're 23 years old. We have farmers, the average farmer is 50, 60. So what makes you different? How it is you can do this and you have persons, decades of experience that couldn't get it done. So one thing that I must say is that partnerships is very, very important. You heard it earlier today. And I knew, listen, there's no way I'll be able to come up with the resources on my own. So I ensured I got two other partners. That's why it's LCP, so it's Laville, Chastanet, and Paul. And what we did is that we pooled our resources together, and we said, listen, let's go into the bank for a small loan for $100,000 and just start a 6-acre farm. On that 6-acre farm, we had to start out with land preparation services, meaning we hired a tractor to come and do the plowing, the banking for us. And then from there, we put in our drip irrigation system, and we got going with that 6 acres. Afterwards, I developed the business plan fully in 2013, and there I entered the Caribbean Innovation Challenge, where I won that, along with one of your very own from Grenada, Tamara Prosper. She's Tamban by Tamara. And we represented the Caribbean and went to Guatemala in 2013. And we did our presentations within the OES General Assembly. And that's where networking is critical. Because I'm going to be honest. I was 24 at the time. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to Guatemala. They're saying networking is value, value, value. And I just couldn't envision it because all I'm thinking about, hey, I need so much money for my business. So how is networking and talking to people help me? Well, you have all the foreign ministers in the Western Hemisphere there, right? And I pitched my business and got a lot of buy-in. And from their influence, they could have went out, seek donors, seek different type of grant funding that I could not have access on my own. And from there, that is where we got grant funded to start to actually procure 80% of the machines that we have today. And then the other 20% came from private sources. So that is how we actually started. We built from small, and we just gradually stepped up as the years go by. Because it's not something that can be done overnight. It takes time. Because we started in 2011, and we're now in 2018. And there's still some things in the business that we still have to iron out. So in agriculture, it's going to take time, and we all know capital is very limited, especially for young entrepreneurs. So that's something that you have to be mindful of, and you have to scale your business pretty much accordingly. Now, automation and record keeping, I will start with ICT, because that's something that's very critical in agriculture, is that most farmers don't view it as a business. And even in Antigua, we have a lot of problems with farmers with their record keeping. And because of that, they can't get access to loans, they can't get access to grants, and their business just stay on this level. Whereas if you had this automation with your record keeping, and automation can be simple because not everybody have access to money. You can just have a simple Excel where you just keep your records in terms of your inventory, your working process, your inputs, your harvesting, your revenue, financials. And all that helps you to get GAP compliant and HACCP compliant for exporting. This is our automation software by the name of Granular. This is for vegetable production. So persons that's involved in vegetables, this is a software that it actually You can monitor your operations, your financials, your inputs, crops, reports. It does everything for you. And it's all real-time information. I know when we're talking about ICT, I know that you said that you're interested in ICT. Now, what I was looking for in terms of the differentiation from you is that being in the agricultural industry for 7 years, a lot of farmers, they have problems in terms of market information. So you realize in this software, I can be able to input what crops I'm growing and when it is I'm going to be harvesting. Now, if you have a software similar to this, but integrated it, let's say, with the Ministry of Agriculture database, and get some supermarkets on board with the app, they will now be able to now look in and say, Farmer A has XYZ producing, and he's going to be harvesting in a month. And because I have that real-time information, they will be able to see if the crop is still healthy, when I'm going to harvesting, if I harvesting. So then they will be able to pick up the phone and call me and say, Farmer A, we can see you have carrots, bring 200 pounds to me. That,
and the tomatoes are part of it.
yeah, that would definitely be a game changer. Real game changer when it comes to markets. And then from there, you'll be able to even expand the platform throughout the Caribbean. But you can start small as a model, stretch it out from a micro level, and then you just expand it out and go up and go big. But that's something that's just always in the talks, but it has never been done. Now, mechanization in crop production, you have the processes, land preparation, planting, watering and fertilizing, crop management, spraying, weeding, harvest, and post-harvest. We will begin with the land preparation. This tractor is one of our small tractors. There's two of them, that's the Coyote armor truck, and they have the big one, which is a 4-disc Massey Ferguson. Now, this one here, interestingly enough, that's where partnerships comes in again. And I think it's good for persons to network and do cluster projects. Because what we did in 2011 is that we did a cluster project between, it was LCB and 5 other young farmers. And they approached USAID to say, listen, can you donate a tractor, a plow, rotavator, and banker to these 6 upcoming young farmers so that they can grow their food, provide empowerment in the communities, employ persons. And because it's not just I saying, hey, I need a tractor. It's now we need a tractor. It's something that got a lot of buy-in, and that is where the first tractor came into play. And it helped propel 6 young businesses to make a big splash in 2018 because other persons, other businesses have grown because of this initiative. So that's something that you have to look at as well when you're selecting mechanization. Do you know other crop farmers, what it is you need, how it is 2 of you guys can collaborate, let's say, to purchase equipment, to share equipment, because in that way it's easy to get funding.
So it depends on the ministry. They are ministry almost all farmers. So they provide the tractor service. Local farms and they have their own tractors.
And is it something that is sustainable? Because
well, it's cheap. They pay like $60 an hour.
it's cheap. In Antigua, though, they do the same thing, but we had to go away from it. Why? Consistency.
That's a challenge here as well. Because they will tell you they come in
and they never come until 2 weeks after.
3 months sometimes. So I know So yeah, it is
There was a lady that came into the ministry. I was speaking to the head, and it was in 2016, and she was waiting since 2008, and they never came. And they had the audacity to send her a notice that she's not using her land, so they want it back. but she's waiting on them to come and prepare her land, right? So the government services is not reliable, especially when you talk about commercial production. You're talking about reliability. You're talking about sustainability, continuity. It's just not reliable. So that's why we just said we're just going to get our own tractors and just solve the issue as is right here. Now, the next equipment is a precision seeder. That's a planter. That planter can plant almost any vegetable seed. We use it to plant onions because the onions planting is somewhere around 200 to 400,000 seeds per acre. If you're going to try and do it manually, you can, but you might maybe end up with half an acre after a month because you're pushing one line of seeds going down the bank 4 times. So you have to be going down the bank 4 times for manual seeder. You can start the video. So it is just not sufficient. So we use our precision seeder to plant our onions. But what we actually did as well is when we were selecting the equipment, we selected it that it could plant any different type of vegetable seed. All we have to do is just switch out the seed plate, and that's it. You can plant. So that's the seeder. So we're doing 4 rows at a time, 2-inch spacing, roughly 400,000 seeds per the acre. And that we just direct seed, and this can do roughly 1 acre in 45 minutes. So that facilitates commercial production. And all we have to do is just switch out the seed plates. If you want to plant, let's say, carrot, or you want to plant beets, or you want to plant watermelon, we just switch the seed plates, and all of these seed drills, they can either come off or they can move across right up. So if you want to plant 1 row, we just take off 3 and just put it dead center. And it just depends on the crop in which you're planting. And that takes care of the planting process.
That comes, the tractor is detachable?
Yes.
You use tractor as a plow as well?
Yes, correct.
So
that was the same tractor that had on the plow earlier. So we just take it off and just switch out with the seeder.